When you look around the world, there are just so many instances in which women get the short end of the stick, in which they can work really hard and things don't work out for them, or they're in a situation where they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
When they got to university, both my mother and father went, very quickly they figured out they couldn't afford to send both of them, and one of them needed to drop out and support the other. And my mother said it was obvious that it should be her, just because my father's earning potential as a man was so much more than hers as a woman.
And so if you want to make any changes, the place to start is looking at where you're assigning women and make sure that throughout the pipeline they're getting access to the big, juicy, make or break assignments. Are those assignments developmental? Do they expose them to senior people who can help them? Do they get resources? And women are much less likely than men at every level to get access to the mission-critical assignments.
For most of my graduate program, gender issues in the workplace was not a central focus of what I was studying. And then my final year, my wife and I had our first child, and it became the single most important area of the field. And I thought everyone should be researching this. We have to learn as much as we can and try to address all the challenges that parents, but particularly women, face professionally once they have children.
There's been a lot of research that looks at how it is that women actually are more ethical in negotiations than men are, but not as many have provided explanations for why. So one of my pre-research projects looks at this idea and basically uses the idea of moral identity to explain the difference, meaning that women more strongly internalize moral values in their own identities than do men. And this then has implications for how it is that women act more ethically in negotiations and in general.
In terms of negotiation, my view has always been that you lay out the facts and you're absolutely transparent. All of our delivery consultants are freelancers, they're all independent. Inevitably, the clients are almost always men. And actually, I think there's something that almost disarms men when instead of facing a force and there's a competition, when you just hand it back to someone and say, over to you, you do what you think is right. I think in an interesting way it actually disarms what might be men's natural negotiating tactics.
We all want leaders who are authentic. We all want to be ourselves as we move into more senior roles. And that's true for both men and women. But what happens is, as women move into these roles, they have fewer role models of people who are like them and also in those roles. And so it's harder to learn the more tacit, intangible things that have to do with leadership style, that have to do with how you persuade, how you influence, how you own a room. And so it's a harder learning process in which they are more likely to feel inauthentic as they try to do different things. They're more likely to feel that they have a trade-off between doing what it takes to be successful and behaving in accordance with one's sense of self.
I've noticed that by me championing some of the learnings from Herminia, I've connected with people such as Judy, Nesta's trustee, who is also championing some of the learnings that she's read from Herminia's book. The organisation I'm working at now, Nesta, I'm having a direct conversation with the CEO around there are some learnings that we can apply in terms of improving organisational behaviour, proactively and consciously thinking about the culture here.
In most couples, but even dual earner couples, the woman is going to be providing a lot more childcare than the man is, and that's very constraining. In terms of firms that are looking for collaborators on this issue, I have one field experiment running looking at the effect of remote working. Simply just saying if we're going to relax the assumption that work always has to take place in the office from 9 to 5 days a week, and we say, look, if you want to work from home as much as is feasible or reasonable given your responsibilities, let's see what that looks like in terms of work-family conflict, in terms of perceived job performance. There's a company called Abcam in Cambridge that has been very receptive to working with me, and I think they're very motivated, particularly around these issues of diversity and inclusion and understanding what they can do that's feasible that would really improve things.
Specific benefits to my family life meant I spent more time with my son. It also gave me the opportunity to actually drop him off at nursery and get a bit more involved in what his life is like during the day, and I wouldn't normally see that because I've normally gone out to work already.
UN Women is a global organisation with a very clear mission, which is to empower women and girls around the world, to end violence against women and end discrimination, and ultimately gain gender parity or gender equality in our lifetime.
I've been invited to join the UK National Board of UN Women. And that issue that motivated me, decades ago, right, and the thing that my mother told me then is still motivating me now to say, what can I do? And one of the things I can do is to bring evidence and research to the world.
He's involved in research. He spent his whole career focused on issues of social justice.
It's the responsibility of a whole organisation, society to get this change, which includes both women but also men in a supporting role. And that's something we're really passionate about. And I think at LBS there's been a big shift.
The aim is to basically involve women in these discussions, sign up men. I think last year we had, over 200 male students sign up and pledge to be an ambassador, which means that they're going to then take the lessons that they learn here and try and help women in the workplaces when they go. And obviously that's an incredible pledge to make, because we've got access to the leaders of tomorrow here and people that are really going to be in a position to make a massive difference. Eventually success is there not needing to be a women in business club. I mean, that would be amazing.
But if I look back to the world that my mother was talking about, it's changed, not enough, but it's changed. And I hope and believe that that progress will continue. It isn't inevitable. It only happens when lots of people work hard at it. And I want to be one of those people.
I think that success for me would be a world that is more fair for my children. I would like for the world to give them both a fair chance at fulfilling their potential.